Chic West Podcast is heart-opening dialogues for self-identified women on a Chic West, a movement moving forward, striving to live aware, bold, and whole. Welcome. Hi, Chic West. Welcome to Chic West Podcast guest series. I'm your host, Estelle Thompson. This series of podcast shows is titled Waking Our Voices, Self-Expression as Medicine. This month, we explore and dive deep in the world of self-expression. And for me, that means going beyond seeing our voices as just the words that come out of our mouths and seeing the big, full spectrum picture. Seeing self-expression as one's own aliveness and personality, feelings, ideas, speech, body, and the arts. This month, you are in for a soulful treat as I bring in authors and singers to speak to us of the necessity of self-expression and creativity and the health benefits in bringing forth what's inside you out. My hope is this, that through our guests this month, you start seeing that the necessity of self-expression and find new ways to communicate you. Today, I'm so very thrilled to have what I really consider her an emblem for our voices here as women. And so I have on the show Vanessa Lindsay-Botten on our show. And Vanessa is an accomplished, award-winning singer with a master level university studies in music. She's had the pleasure of working with incredible singing teachers with diverse styles and repertoires for over 20 years. She is the proud founder of You Gotta Sing Chorus, a non-audition community choir expanding from 19 members back in 2011 to a community of 1,000 past and current members today. Vanessa is on a mission to nurture connection and community one song at a time. She believes that singing with our whole voice, our whole bodies, our whole self brings transformation and positive changes to our inner and outer world. And Chic West, this is my favorite part of her bio. No matter what we've been told, your voice has value, your voice has inherent beauty, and your desire to sing by yourself or with others can connect you to your own wellspring of joy. Vanessa, hi.
Oh, Estelle, hello.
I'm just so excited. Can you feel how excited I am?
Yes, I can. And I welcome you, and I feel so welcomed here, and I equal your excitement. So thrilled.
Yay! So great. And so at Chic West, I always begin all my interviews, since we strive to live aware and bold and whole. I have the ritual of asking my guests, what makes you feel alive today? So I'm asking you, what makes you feel alive?
I love this question, and I feel this sense of aliveness in my body today, and this excitement of being, of like sensing my body sort of from the inside out. Yeah, it's just joy through my breath and my body.
I love that. And I think we're already like, you're speaking the same language as me. Before we dive deep, so I'm having you on. I want to talk about singing, self-expression as medicine, but I also want to talk about your You Gotta Sing program, or any other program you run. But I just want to tell you just something personal. We haven't met that many times. Like, I think we met. Do you know? Like, we met a couple of times.
Yes, we met at Jesse Harold's book launch.
Yes,
Project Body Love.
that's right.
Yeah.
We met there, and then we most recently met at the Elizabeth Gilbert weekend. Elizabeth Gilbert was here in Halifax. and you were just about to go on. Remember, like we had a dinner.
Yes, we had dinner together. I know.
Yes. And then, but I want to tell you something because that whole weekend, like, I was just so excited to see her, and she was just, she was so incredible. And that Friday night and the whole Saturday. But I have to
Mm.
share with you, like you were, and I'm not just saying this because you're like on on here and we're having this conversation, but like you were my favorite part. And when we started to sing the A Fizz, that beautiful
Mm.
line, like I wish I could show you when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. Like I had the most beautiful release. Like I just like realized
Mm.
how like so contained I was. And like I do mantra work like almost every day, just like before or after my yoga practice or meditation. And I
Mm.
do mantras like in class and stuff, but it was so like it was so beautiful. I just you brought out like something completely like I could feel it vibrating through me, and I was like, "What's going on?" Like it was just like, and I said, "I'm
Oh,
not sure if I didn't have the chance to tell it with you, but tell this to you, but." It was just so beautiful. You truly, truly have a gift. So thank you so
oh,
much.
I'm so pleased. Oh my goodness, I love hearing that. It was amazing to receive your voices. When I just stopped singing up there and I could feel the release, like I could feel all of you. It was a huge gift. So thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
precious to me.
And I have this vision of you. It's so beautiful, like your arms like wide open, like receiving us.
Mhm.
And it was like
Oh,
we could just like exhale there as we were singing. It was just so incredible.
beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
And so
you.
I want, yes. So I want you, I'd love if you could tell us about yourself and like your story with singing, like professionally,
Mm,
but personally as well. And
yeah.
even just like where you grew up and, where you got where you are today, because you didn't get on with the same on the same stage as Elizabeth Gilbert, and like, it took a while. So I'd love to hear all that.
I feel like my younger self, my little Vanessa, would have just been over the moon so excited to be on the stage with Elizabeth Gilbert and hugging her and sharing the same air with her, because I just feel that kinship of joy. And as a kid, I spent a lot of time outdoors. I grew up in a log cabin with my family, and I just loved singing and dancing. My whole body expressed joy through movement and through sing-songy sounds. And my first memory of music, like of realizing that music was a thing, was watching my sister press down the keys of the piano. And I was about eye level with the piano keys, and I just saw her press them down and heard these sounds and just was enamored, and I wanted to know more. So I started with piano, but really, I realized that there was this thing called singing when I was in elementary school, and our grade 2 class gathered every morning in an open pod, and we sang every day. And I just loved it. And I love that feeling of we're all together singing. And then I joined the elementary school choir, and the choir conductor was just so kind and funny, and I loved watching her move her hands to the music. Um, it just seems really magical to me, and I loved, those flip charts where they had the words of the songs, and she would point out certain words, and they just seemed to be filled with this emotion and energy to them. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, I belong right here. And so choir accompanied me all the way through school, and was just that place of just joy and belonging. And then I started taking formal voice lessons when I was about 16. And from there, I've worked with many teachers. It started with a classical technique of singing in a really healthy way, learning how to use my instrument in a way that was efficient and made a beautiful sound. And I'm so grateful for all of that teaching, it opened up new doors in me. At the same time, there was this real focus on perfection, of course, right? There's performance and perfection that came with festivals and exams. And so I followed that course all the way through university. And then in my time of being at York University, where I was working in my master's, I combined my major, which was sociology, with music to be in a course called ethnomusicology, and that was studying music in a cultural context. So from there, I met and encountered kind of a marriage of this love of choir and freedom in singing with technique. And so how this came about was I was living in Roncesvalles Village in Toronto, and I entered my favorite cafe, and there was a poster on the wall that said an invitation to a women's singing circle. And I had never been to anything like that in my life, but I felt that, that sound, that bell inside of like, you must go. And so I went and I met this most amazing teacher, Moon Joyce, and was part of a song circle for the very first time where songs were led without sheet music. And all sounds were so encouraged, Estelle. There was no right or wrong. There was just our voices all together, learning harmony and playing with different languages, and even improvising, like making up sounds in the moment. And it just changed
Did you
everything.
feel like you're a rebel?
Oh my gosh, I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to sing anymore. That's how I felt. And it felt a bit scary, like, to be honest, to go, oh, I've been crafting my voice, but this is a whole new way of singing. And so it felt like an edge to me, but it felt like an exciting edge, like I was at the beginning of a precipice, right? And I asked, through my master's, I then developed a course on voice and identity. And I asked Moon to be my teacher, my mentor. And so we developed this course together about vocal improvisation. And just working with her, it helped integrate everything I learned with also, though, with this sense of freedom. And she asked me a question during the first session, which stopped me in my tracks. And she said, okay, so what would you like to sing? What song would you like to sing? And Estelle, I had nothing. I had no song. And here's somebody who'd been studying and singing and performing and exams and everything for years. And I was blank. And I was embarrassed, right? And she was so gentle, and she said, well, let's sing happy birthday or whatever. But that moment was like a bell ringing for me of like, oh, I actually get to choose what I want to sing. And from there, the world again opened up, because my whole interior life, it's like that started to bubble of like, oh, I really love Lorena McKinnon. Oh my goodness, I really love this music and I love this music. And it started to all be allowed rather than prescribed. So I just kept following it and following it. And it led me to Nova Scotia, eventually, with my husband and my baby girl at the time. And we moved here kind of on a wing and a prayer, because his family was out here, and the music of the Maritimes just really called us out here. And from there, I started to direct choirs through church. I was music director at a church. And then I was teaching privately. And then, so sadly, my sister, who was my cousin, but we grew up together, she was killed really suddenly by a drunk driver. And it was such a shock. She was 34, I was 32, and a young mom. And it stopped me, as it would. And I stopped singing for a period of time. And the grief took right over. And from there, I was lost for a good while. And I knew that music was going to catch me, but I just didn't know how. And I was obviously, still teaching and gigging and doing what I could as a musician. And it was still beautiful, but I was lost. And so I met with a business coach and she sat down with me and I told her my story. I said, this is who I am. This is where I'm at. And I just don't know how to go forward. And she said, Vanessa, when you talk about leading people in song, you just light right up. And she said, people need this, and you need this. And from there, You Gotta Sing was born. And I'm crying here just telling the story because I'm so grateful that that avenue, that way forward came about. So I began You Gotta Sing as a workshop. I just sent out an invitation who would like to sing for the joy of it. So it was a group that was meant to be for people who maybe felt like they had been shut down or told not to sing, or sent away from the choir or mouth the words. All of those stories kept appearing to me in my life, and I was so fired up to create a safe space where people could really just experience their own voices the way I had in Toronto with Moon. And so it started as a workshop, and which I ran for 9 weeks at a time for 2 years. And then it wanted to be like a community choir. And that started in 2011, and it just continues on to now. And it's like one of the biggest joys of my life.
I can feel through the computer. Thank you for
Oh,
gifting me this beautiful story. There's so much there to like explore with you. I love that breaking point where your teacher asked you what you wanted to sing. Because at Chiquest, it's like something it's kind of like we want to love our life, but we don't know what we love, you know? And it's like a huge issue. We're like, I really want to love my life. And then you ask, well, what is it that you love? And you're like, oh, like I don't know. And like you're
yeah.
asking me, like I have a right in this, I have a say in this. So would you say like that was like kind of your breaking point for you and like your like freedom of self-expression per
That was an
se?
opening for sure. That I think
Open.
what I have found is that there's these little openings along the way of like, "Ooh, really? Oh, even me?" Or, "Oh, I get to?" And I've experienced so much in my life that some things that I talk about openly, and then there's other, there's big traumas that happened that I kept to myself, or just, in therapy for a really, really long time. And another opening happened where, a dear friend sat me down and said, tell me your story, like you have today too. And I told her everything. I told her the deepest traumas that had happened in my life. And that was such a key because she heard me voice it out in the open. And from there, I realized that sense of permission that I can say in in spaces where I want to, I can say like I can say everything about me and it will be held in safety and love. And from there, there's this like real sense of, oh my God, I have a right to my own sense of joy and well-being.
Yeah.
Authority, like the word authentic, I was thinking about that word this morning, which led me to authority. Like we have, which I'm discovering more and more, we have the authority over our own voices, what we say, what we sing, what gives us life, what gives us joy. And that's like being the author of our life and of our song.
I'm taking down notes. I love this authority. I love authority. I love authority over one's own voice. And Vanessa, one of my big waking up moments, and literally it's just been over the last month, maybe like after summer, I was like, wait a minute, like my story is my voice. Like owning my story, it's like owning my voice. Cause like I guess there's like this, it's kind of like cliche these days, like step into your voice or like step into your power. Like, what the fuck does that mean, really? Like, and when I realized, I was like, no, but like having a voice is just having a story to say and to tell. And Like, I love that you said, like, your friend was like, tell me your story, because like we're just kind of waiting to be witnessed, and like who can I tell my story to? Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes. And we get to choose and discern. And like for me, songs, every song I choose is healing to me. Like every song I choose to sing myself now, and every song I choose to lead with others and invite them into this beautiful, it's like a song is a room, I feel, like we can enter and be in it together. And so songs that have words and poetry and sounds that to me are all about that. This is a safe space and this is a healing space and it's for everyone and no one's turned away, that it's our birthright. So every song I'm so grateful for. Because it gives me practice. It gives me practice saying words that are good for me to sing and say. And sometimes I might not even believe them. Like we have a song that I lead by Yvette Narlock that's called I Am Worthy. And
Mm,
singing that song, I am worthy, I am worthy, I'm worthy of love. Um, Singing it for myself has been healing, and singing it with other women is so, so, so powerful.
I
Do you
love
want
it.
to hear it? I feel like it wants to be sung. Can I sing it?
Yes, please, please.
Okay. So it sounds like this. Yeah, it sounds like this. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy of love.
You did it again.
Oh, oh, my beautiful friend. Oh, yeah,
So beautiful.
yes. Mm.
See, I knew I had to have you on.
Oh,
So powerful, like and I love that you say like there's no right or wrong way to sing, because like that's how I
mhm.
approach painting, and that's how I approach yoga. And it's like the number of people that like don't even try because they think it needs to be, there's a right way, or they need to add you or subtract something. And I just love that it's like just show up, just like you're worthy of, like, I love in your bio, it's like it's your birthright to sing,
Yeah, yeah,
um and I love
mm,
that. I feel like we're such kinship, because like that we're teaching the same thing. You just do it
yeah.
through songs, and like I do it through art and yoga. It's so beautiful, Vanessa. Thank you so
Yes, and oh my gosh, thank you. And that breaking open, I feel it too, and it's such a gift.
much.
And it's all, I feel it's all vibration, like painting and color and movement, and the movement of our voice and the movement of our being and our story, like exactly who we are in every moment is so enough. And it's just movement.
Interrupting this incredibly heart opening episode to let you know about my new yoga channel. If you're listening to this podcast as a SheQuest member, this feature is included with the membership sisterhood community. Yay! More than 10 yoga practices and curated yoga playlists for each class. Classes and programs are being uploaded on a monthly basis. If you aren't part of the membership and would like to try the yoga channel, this option is now available. Use the coupon SHEYOGA, that's SHEYOGA, all big letters, to get 1 month free, and tell the women and men you know and love about this stunning opportunity to develop a home yoga practice. SheQuest membership doors will open again in January, but until then, enjoy my yoga channel and say yes to moving, yes to connecting with your body, and yes to SheQuest. Now back to our ever expanding conversation. Yeah, and we're so
Mhm.
I heard, I forget the author, but it touched me so much. I had never seen it like that. It was a quote that said, "The soul is contained in the voice."
Mm.
And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh my God, it makes so much sense." And that's when I started my mantra practice, because we're basically made of vibration. So when you like sing, you're like basically like affecting those same vibration. And when you're singing, you're breathing more than when you're actually breathing. Yeah. And so that's when I started like singing in like, and again, like I'm not, I'm not a singer. I guess we're all singers.
We,
And I found such a profound shift in both myself and my students. And I mean, and I don't do like songs like you, it's just like repetition, like, we'll just sing, be here now, be here now. And like I'll sing with the kids. And it's so beautiful, Vanessa. Like you do this just like literally like a minute with them and it
yes.
stays with them. Like they'll
Yeah.
walk out and then like after my like hour being with them, I hear it in the hallway. They're still singing it.
Yes. It's alive in them, and you brought that to them. And so here's an invitation to say, a singer is one who sings. A singer is, and I know you believe this with painting too, right? And yoga, and so a singer is one who sings, and that it's as simple as that. And I know it's not simple always, but yeah, we all have this capacity to hold a song in some way, right? And share it, which is really magical. Yeah, and a gift.
I just want to go back a little because I want to talk about kind of that fragment that happened when you lost your sister. Were you, because like I know when like I lost my son, like I too, there was like this huge disconnect, like I was having an out of body experience almost. But was it a part of you that was like, and it's all so different, but being
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm just so
Mm.
grateful I have art and I'm just so grateful I have yoga, or was it different for you where
Mhm.
like I felt like all this years behind me of practicing whatever that bit, like it led
Yes.
me up to this moment in my life that was so pivotal.
Yes. So I had my first response. We got the phone call, and I went into my closet, and we had little kids. My other sister was with me, and we had 4 children at the breakfast table. And we had to be mothers as well as experience this massive shock and loss. And I left, and I went into my closet and shut the door, and I was in darkness, and I felt Anna is her name, and I felt her, and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I voiced, that was the first thing I did. And my voice had me, it was my companion. And so when I said that I stopped singing, it was like the public me just stopped singing. It was a divider of like, oh no, this is my space now to grieve any way that I want to. And it's not going to be pretty. And it's not going to be, this bird like performer bird. I call myself the performer bird, that public persona that I had going at the time. It was like, oh no, songs have me and my voice has me in this raw place and in this unedited place, which is a lifesaver. So songs and writing. I did a lot of writing through all of my awakening periods, and I still journal so much.
That's
And
right.
so, voice comes in so many forms, and sometimes it's silence, and it's still voice, right? Even when it's that inner voice, silence holding me through that pain. So it was I too, I love that you said that everything that you had learned and experienced brought you to that moment and carried you through the deepest grief. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
I guess sometimes I come from like if you were in front of somebody that like had never sung before. I mean, maybe when they were a kid, like how can we start like if we feel we're not a singer, and how can we start building a relationship with like our voice today? Like what would you like how would we go about it when like
So I'm in that space so often, Estelle. It's so precious to be in front of someone who's waking up or curious or like, oh, I think I have a voice, or there's that, you can see it under the surface, right behind the eyes almost. There's that longing, and so it's even like what I do with groups and people right away is we just like breathe and sigh. Like even the sigh and hearing our own utterance of just that relaxed, getting in a hot tub or a yawn or like, oh, just letting go of the day through a sigh is a door. And the next step is humming. And I've been asking people to just maybe place your hands, maybe if it feels comfortable, on your throat, like on your larynx, or even on the back of your neck, below your head, and just humming a little, like, mm, for as long as you want, and just experiencing like, oh my gosh, there's vibration in me. Like I am made of
Yeah.
sound. So it's simple, these little steps that we take, but they're profound. And then from humming, it can move into like a song. What song is singing in you today? Is there a song from your childhood that's visiting you, or like, a song from when you were a teenager and you were with your friends dancing? You know how songs just kind of pop up in your life, or in the car and the radio's on and you just feel overtaken by these songs that are just like this vehicle for you to dip your toe in your own expression.
You said that about the humming, because like when it's always an invitation when I do mantra singing in class. Because for some people it's like really out there, right? And and I do all my mantras in English too,
Yeah.
which I find it's like closer to people than like Sanskrit, let's say. But I feel secure because intuitively I would say to people, if
Mm.
you don't want to sing it, just hum it. I'm glad that you say that. I was like, okay, it's
Yes.
a good thing as long as they hum, or as long as they do something. But even do you
Yeah.
believe that, like, because sometimes I feel even just receiving, like when I was receiving your song, like that was healing me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. We're all, there's an expression by one of my favorite voice teachers that I've never met, but she's my teacher and her name's Rhiannon. She wrote a book called The Vocal River. And and she describes that we're all part of the vocal river, like whether we're sounding or we're receiving. It's in us all. So I love that. And I also love that you can hum and no one knows that you're doing it. Like, we can hum anywhere and no one really knows it. Also, when we're in conversation and we have that response as a people, usually we're like, to respond to someone, what they're saying. That's a way to be in our voice, right? We're priming our voice. And it's like we can embody ourselves in a music, like in a singing way without drawing a lot of attention to it.
Yes, and I love, like, for me, like, being uncomfortable is literally the practice of yoga. Like, and I wasn't aware when I started looking, because as you know, I mean, you conduct choral, but I just saw how uncomfortable it makes people to hear the sound of their own breath sometimes, like even the exhale. And I realized, oh my God, you cannot
Yeah.
own your voice if you cannot hear your voice. If you cannot like really hear it. And sometimes, like, tell me what you think about that. Like,
Mm.
I listen to my own voice on a voicemail and I'd be like, that's me? It's wild. Like, is that how I really sound? Like, there's such a disconnect there. Do you want to talk about that? Like,
Yes, I'd love to talk about that. That's really common. It's a very, very common experience. I know I can relate to that too. And we experience, physically, we experience our voice because everything is very close together in our head, right? So our larynx is our vocal folds, about the size of a dime, are vibrating and creating this vibration and resonance through our whole head. And our ears are hearing us from the inside out almost, right? So we hear ourselves so differently. And then when we get feedback from an external source, like a recording or whatnot, it can feel like, what? I feel like it's a totally different experience. And I think it's that invitation to, oh, like witness, okay, so I'm going to witness my voice inside, and now I'm going to witness it being played back from me with that compassion and that sense of like mercy almost. Liz Gilbert talks about mercy for any creative act that we do, which I think talking and singing is so creative. So it's just like, oh, like a playmate, like how you'd greet a friend. Oh my gosh, that's how I sound today. Ah, cool.
Yeah, yeah, and be like, it's like accept,
Yeah,
full on acceptance,
yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
I love talking to you.
Yeah.
What what are, I mean, it's huge, kind of a loaded question, but what are the benefits of singing?
I love that there's so many benefits to singing, as I'm sure to yoga, right? They're so related. And that the benefits that we get from singing are available to us, whether we're a trained singer or we're like a complete amateur, which, just singing as a speaking, sounding being. As you said, that breath, right? It's like we breathe deeper, we get more oxygen in our bodies, and it's really nourishing. And I love, there's this expression that singing is like an internal cellular massage, or a massage at the cellular level, right? So, yeah, like we're moving all parts of us. We move ourselves physically by singing, we move our emotions by singing, we move our minds to new places and like bypass limitations, I think, when we sing. And we're moving our spirit, however you conceive of that beautiful, thing we can't see, but we feel. So there's that for sure. And then because we're breathing so deeply to the bottom part of our lungs, we're in that like all is well space. So we move out of the fight or flight or freeze space that we can so often find ourselves in this life as humans. But singing and breathing deeply moves us past into this well of like all is well and I am here. So there's that. And singing with other people, I saw a study once of like there's certain parts of our brain that light up when we sing, and when we're singing with another person, so two of us singing in harmony, like maybe other notes, right, or even the same notes, different parts of our brain light up. And when you're singing with four parts, like harmony with everybody doing a different line, like so much of the brain is lit up. So and involved. So I thought that
Wow.
was so amazing, because there's something so connected and connective with joining our voice and finding belonging and harmony, like literal harmony with other humans. There's nothing like it that I have found for myself to like feel the sense of home and belonging. And there's biology behind that too, right? So because we release oxytocin, I believe it is, and then different endorphins when we're singing with other people. And it's available to everyone, who can utter a sound or receive a sound. It's just available all the time out there.
Oh, as you're speaking there, I just, when did we stop singing?
Mm.
My son is 8 and he loves, like, he's so loud. He's he's always like opera singer, like, I'm here, like, and like I don't want to, like, I'm not touching that
Yeah.
from him. Like, I know better now. Or like even like 3 or 4 years old, like, love to sing even when they play like by themselves. Like,
Yeah.
when do you think we stopped
I
singing?
think permission is contagious. And I think that fear is contagious. And so it just takes one person's fear within themselves, right? And judgment within themselves to give a message to someone else, right? Of a shutdown, or like we shut ourselves down. But also, it can be very subtle when we're silenced. And we can be
Mm,
silenced in different ways, right? And so if I stop my utterance of my truth, or if I stop my utterance of like my whole exuberance or beauty or excitement or just emotion, then that starts to creep in and shut me down, in other ways. And so I think that it's very easy and very common experience to stop singing or to say, oh, that's not for me, or I'm not a singer, my voice is not beautiful. And what I've come to learn from reflection from beautiful, friends in my circle is that all of my truth is beautiful. Even something
Mm.
I would consider ugly, or a sound, or like in our warm-ups, I get people to stick their tongues out, bug at their eyes, and make these sounds. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful too.
Yes. Yeah.
All of us, yeah. But it's contagious. That's what I think, that closed in contraction of oy, eesh, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it's just, and then it's so easy to feel that, like, oh, maybe I should tone it down a bit, or
Mm.
or only do what's acceptable. And yeah, in in my life, it's like I almost have no patience for that anymore. Because I'm on the other side. I know how wonderful it feels.
I want to revert the conversation a bit more to you, knowing a bit more about you. I get so inspired knowing of
Mhm.
other women's soul ritual, and I'd love to know, like, do you have any like ritual you do every day?
Mm.
Things that perhaps it's singing, but perhaps it's something else.
Yes. So I'm really grateful for body practices that are very relaxing and just kind of helping me be in my well-being. So I do stretches. I mean, I have done yoga in my life before, so I'm sure it's all integrated. So I just do really gentle stretches, like on my mat, and just being in my body. I really love, I've just come back from Windhorse Farm, from
Yeah.
leading my Singing from the Well retreat there with 30 women.
What?
Um,
Tell us about it.
it was amazing. But and the singing together is amazing. And then for me, it's that going out into the woods and sitting in the moss and sitting by this babbling brook, rushing water, and touching trees. And there's this quiet, and I may sing or I may not, but it's this like being all right and totally enough and totally yeah, accepted just as I am, as this like living being out in the woods. So that's definitely a way to just come home to myself. And the other thing I do is write. So I'm writing and writing and writing, and I'm part of a writing group of 5 of us women, and we always say there's a sixth, like, that we can't necessarily see. But that feeds my soul. Like every day, I feel connected to that experience of writing my voice and being heard.
Yeah, and would you I love it all. And would you say that writing helps you singing?
Yes. You know what it's unlocked for me is poetry. I'm reading poetry in a way that, like, I almost never gave myself permission to read poetry before, and I'm writing poetry and sharing it with these beautiful women in my group. And it's like a whole new world, Estelle. Like, I'm so surprised. I'm like, what? There's more? Yeah, so I have a feeling that there's something new coming for me of writing and singing my own words. I haven't done that really, and shared it, but I feel like that's maybe next for me.
You're just gonna become the poem, Vanessa.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Oh, thank you.
I think I stole that. It's like an actual quote. When you were saying that, I was like, it was like a quote. It says like, I wanted to be a poet, but then I realized I was really the poem.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
that nice? And you're like, oh
Oh my
yes,
God. So I want to be a songwriter, but really I'm a song.
yes,
Oh
exactly,
my gosh, thank you for that. I love it.
exactly. Okay.
Mm,
So the last little questions. There's just little quick questions.
yeah.
Are you
I,
ready? Are you
I
ready?
am ready.
Do you have a favorite mantra, like a favorite saying or
Yes, one that's been coming to me is "The way knows the way."
oh,
Isn't that amazing?
yeah.
It's a song. It's a quick little song by Lindsay Scott. Can I sing it? Is there time?
Please sing it, please.
Okay, just because it's such a gift. I felt it was such a gift. So it sounds like this. You don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way, trust the way, feel your way, the way knows, the way knows, the way knows the way.
Love that. I love that you do not have to know the way. The way is the way.
Yes. Amen.
Amen. Would you have a favorite flower?
Lilacs.
What about, you've mentioned one book that I took a note of, The Vocal River, but do you have a favorite book that you would, we have like book club at Chic West and all that, but is there one you just like, it's a bit of a Bible for you in regards to singing?
Well, I would say The Vocal River by Rhiannon.
Okay.
Yeah, there are so many, and I'm looking at Big Magic right now. Liz Gilbert's book, and also Mark Nepo, The River of Light, and
Oh,
it's all about self-expression. So I think it really, yeah, it sings really well of She Quest and what you're doing, and it's filled with his teaching, but also poetry. So that's been my Bible for the last month or two of reading Mark Nepo. Yeah.
I love him. I love
Mhm.
him.
Yeah, it's a great book.
I love him. Yeah, be great. I'll go get that for the holidays. And do you listen to podcasts? Do you have a favorite
You
podcast
know,
or?
magic lessons. I just keep going back to Liz's magic lessons. I listen to them.
Oh,
It's
good.
like fuel.
It really
Yeah.
is. I remember listening to that podcast and it was like really stepping stones for me, like in what I'm teaching even
Mm,
now, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Great. And how about a favorite drink? Do you have a favorite drink?
Water. I love
Nobody has ever said that. I love it.
water. It's like, aren't we 80% water?
Yes.
Yeah, I love water.
Water is good. And to just finish, a favorite treat or something. Yeah, just a
Chocolate.
treat.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
chocolate.
Dark or milk?
Oh, I think dark. Yeah. To be specific,
Yeah.
chocolate pudding pie. Isn't it?
Oh,
My grandmother used to make that for me. So, yeah, it's like once a year. Yeah, I break me out some chocolate pudding pie.
amazing. The more specific, the
Yeah,
better.
exactly.
The
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
sugar. Yeah. And I guess I just have one last question, and it's a loaded one, but just say what's in your heart, which you have for the whole time
Oh.
we've been speaking. Knowing what you know now about the power of self-expression and singing, what do you wish women to know about its magic?
Oh my goodness. I think that it brings us to who we really are, that it's for us, and that you're allowed. You're just allowed.
That permission
Mm.
piece is so
Yeah.
important.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Mm.
yeah, Vanessa, where can we find you? Can we find you at your weekly You Gotta Sing, or and how can we support
Oh my
you?
goodness. So I do have a website, and the yougattasing.ca will get you there to the website. So it's yougattasing.ca, and vanessapapillon.ca is the name of my website, and papillon is Papillon, and both words mean butterfly. Vanessa Papillon.ca. And so I lead You Gotta Sing in Dartmouth on Monday nights, and in Tantallon on Tuesday mornings, and Halifax on Wednesday nights. And I have a smaller, really delicious singing circle on Thursday afternoons in Halifax. And so that's my weekly practice, leading 4 times a week. And then I have these beautiful Singing from the Well retreats that right now it's an annual at Windhorse, but I feel like there's more brewing. So just, yeah, stay tuned, sign up for my newsletters. And
Can we, are those just drop-ins? Like, can we just, or we have
you
to
can
connect with you
always drop
first,
in.
or?
I always, I think it's wonderful when you just feel that impulse and come on in. You're always welcome. You can register for, sort of packages or seasons of songs. So
Yeah.
that's always available too. Yeah.
Ah, you are
Thank
such a
you.
delight, a
Can I
gift to the
I want to
world.
say one
And
more thing, Estelle, because I'm so grateful to you. And on the night I met you, one of my friends in my writing group bought me your she cards. And I have a deck that I use every day. So I didn't say that, but that's part of my soul ritual. And I brought them to the Singing from the Well this weekend. And the women, they were out on a table, and I could just see each woman as they picked it up and got their card. They just lit right up. So thank you for those cards, and thank you for you, because you are a gift to all of us. So thank you.
oh, thank you for sharing that. I had no idea you had a sheet like that.
Yes, I have a she deck, and I love it.
Yay!
Oh
And I
my
love
gosh.
that you brought it for support, because that's really why I created them, for like groups to pick them, and like alone when you're in the morning, and just all
Yeah.
of this is just perfect. Thank you for sharing that tidbit.
Um,
And I'm so glad we persevered. You guys don't know this, but the recording stopped, and we spent quite a bit trying to, and I'm just so glad we
it
persevered.
was so ironic that like my voice was suppressed by this microphone. But we roared through it. She roars.
We sure did. She roars. That's right. And that's the card for this month too. Is the she roar, and she
Oh,
sings. She sings. Well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, Vanessa. Thank
beautiful.
you.
Namaste, Estelle. I love you. Thank you so much.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.